Okay, let's talk about return on investment. Sexy stuff. The ROI for a warehouse system is mind-blowing. That's the truth, okay? We know that putting in a warehouse system that's built for e-commerce is going to blow the efficiency of running a pen and paper warehouse out of the water. It is night and day. The aim of this tool that I'm going to walk you through is really to help you bring the cost of the status quo to light and allow you to forecast some gain assumptions across some of the different parameters that a warehouse system is going to help you with. And obviously that's going to vary depending on the type of business that you are. And it is only a forecast. Forecast can be wrong. So we can allow for that. We can create different variances of it. We can play with the numbers. The aim here is to start to bring those numbers to life. And usually where we see companies using this is you've got, the person watching this, you're already sold. You know this is something you need to do. You've done it in a previous company. You've proven it before, but the founder of the business you've moved to needs convincing, right? And this happens all the time because there's very few founders running e-commerce businesses where this is their second or their third time round, okay? E-commerce in its current format, particularly direct-to-consumer brands, we've really been chugging at this current rate for 5 or 6 years properly. We had the first wave of super successful companies coming through, and we're now kind of getting into the second and third wave. And what that then means is you've got people who recognize that they need to run their own fulfillment for the type of product or the customer that they're serving. They recognize the customer experience is important. Bit by bit, this is becoming the prevailing conversation that it's not just about winning the customer, it's about how can you keep them. And this sounds obvious to you if you're someone that sits on the vendor side, or you're a specialist within e-commerce. But if you're a brand builder, it's not always obvious, right? If you've come from a product focus or you're obsessed with building community. And a lot of these problems only come when we start to hit scale. Having amazing customer experience when you do 100 orders a day is pretty easy, right? But when that 100 orders becomes 1,000 during a peak sales period, or you're banging out 1,000 to 5,000, 10,000 orders every day, that then creates a whole different set of challenges, particularly when it comes to your inventory and fulfillment. Because unlike your advertising spend on Google and Facebook or whatever, unlike your ad spend and your ability to get an influencer to wear your product and drive insane increases in sales, unlike your ability to just take as much money as you want through your web store, your fulfillment doesn't scale in the same way. You don't have infinite warehouse space. We don't have infinite inventory. We don't have infinite resource that understands how to use your pick and pack workflow to get those orders out the door. So what this is about is creating a model where you can drive big revenue growth and create a fulfillment model that can react to get those orders out without compromising the customer experience. Because driving up, you may drive sales up by increasing your cost of acquisition, reducing your return on your advertising spend. But in doing that, you can do that for periods, but you need to realize the lifetime value. And that is all about that first time experience. And it's not just the first time, it's the every time experience. So people become loyal customers. We know the more times people buy from you, the more they tend to spend. You probably know all of that stuff, but you may not know how a warehouse system is going to help with all of those things and how to justify the investment in one. So let's go into the tool. Now this is it's an Excel sheet. It's not very exciting. Just bear with me. I'm going to cover the B2C version first. So if you're a pure play brand, this section is the one that you need to be focusing in on. So there's some of this we can skip through, but just to keep it really simple, everything in yellow, you're going to populate with your information. So you're going to put in your revenue here, your growth rate. Going back a step, first thing you do is going to make a copy of this template, right? So you've got your own version, because the link that you'll have to this will be in view only mode. You then put in the total cost of your warehouse people and your admin people per hour. And what this proceeds to do is capture data around your volumes across different processes when you're typical period and during peak. Some of these questions are really hard to answer. Reminder that this is just a forecast. You're not going to be held up by anybody on this. You're just trying to get some basic numbers together so you can understand the cost of the status quo, and then start to think about how a WMS is going to help you to save some of that money, increase your cash position because you're spending less on your operating costs each month, increase your profitability, and ultimately enable you to invest more back into growth. You put in your length of peak season in months. So that's important, because when I show you the next sheet, it actually uses that length of peak season to multiply out your productivity during these times, and also the number of people that you have employed. Because when you fill all of these yellow bits in, the first thing it does is it takes all of that cost, compares it, and it gives you a cost per year for your warehouse labor. It's a good start. You can compare this to how you're actually trending in terms of your warehouse cost. You can put in these numbers for what you think it's going to cost you in the next 12 months. So you can start to have a forward-looking view of your warehouse operational cost. You may have also realized that as you ship more orders, your ratio of people to orders going out the door doesn't look so good. You're getting diseconomies of scale. So if that's happening to you, this is going to be super useful, because it's going to give you a real snapshot of where you're draining cash from your business in your operational labor. The cost of errors is a really key one. So if you haven't implemented barcode picking, if you don't have barcodes on products, you are making mistakes and sending the wrong things out to people. The cost of error is huge. Cost of product, cost of bad service, cost of bad review, cost of sending the replacement, cost of return if you're going to bother getting them to return it for the wrong item. Often when there's a picking error from a manual system, is because you sent two people each other's orders. So every one mistake equals two. If you pick the wrong thing for a customer order, that also means your inventory's out. So there's a chance that you're going to oversell on a product because you've got the wrong inventory in stock. That is just a whole can of worms. And this is why really, barcode picking, making sure you pick the right thing first time, that really is one of the fundamentals of the way that we approach scaling fulfillment. You've got to eliminate those errors. You're just throwing money away every time you make one of them. And then what this then goes on to lay out is the potential savings that you can start to make. And the way it forecasts these savings is you punch in your forecast on the gain that you're going to make. Is your travel time going to be 40% faster? You're going to think, well, how can we go pick 40% faster than we do right now? Well, one way you may be able to do that is by going from picking one order at a time to batch picking hundreds of orders at a time. Okay, so this is a useful tool for doing when you're very early stage of should I be looking into a WMS, but this is also useful when you're in the evaluation process and you already understand the warehouse flows that you're going to implement. So you can start to gauge how accurate this is going to be for you when you're putting in your gain assumptions. One of the interesting things this spits out as well is the actual, related to what you pick and ship out. It looks at what's your current pick lines per hour. And then it can also give you a cost per order. This is obviously just your labor cost per order, but that's an interesting metric to spit out. And then it gives you these, before and after. It also goes into receiving put away. Put away saving is one that people often ask me about. That's going to be the time, once you actually locate something. If you're doing things manually, you might have to go back to a system, punch in the numbers. Obviously, you do that at the point of activity with a warehouse system, so you can remove that entirely. And then these are the soft savings that I actually mentioned in that document. So things like, if you're moving from your own system, it's like the developer time saved on our own WMS. What's that going to be? Well, developers are expensive. Do you do it at the cost of the developer, or do you do it at the opportunity cost of the developer? So that in itself could be like £30,000. So you've got your soft savings. We've been through the gain assumptions. You can play around with these as well. Like if you want to say 15%, that's going to auto calculate a load of other bits. And really it gives you an overall view of where's your current warehouse cost and your labor allocation at. So this has been the B2C version. Difference with the B2B version is you can run all the numbers for goods in, B2B store, and replen. So you can run all of those numbers in here, because obviously the pick team is going to be different for B2B, and things like the average number of items per order. You're also going to have your inventory count data here, so like the amount of stock taking you do. So you'll put those numbers in, but you don't want to count them twice. So what the format does here is it allows you to calculate everything for B2B and then get the saving forecast, and then calculate just the e-commerce pick and pack separately. So you've got the whole thing, and then the final section actually brings everything together, so you can see the total cost of B2B and the total cost for B2C and the savings. So slightly more advanced template. Good if you're B2B and B2C from the same warehouse. Good also if you've got that retail store replen. So really that's for your omnichannel retailer or an e-commerce brand that's starting to do a bit of B2B. The B2C model is for your direct-to-consumer brand, your Gymsharks, your lounge underwear, Ghost lifestyle type operations. So that's the run through of the tools. There's templates available for each of them. We're going to push these out in some different currencies as well. If you end up and it's not in your currency, it's pretty easy to just go through the document, and bit by bit, you've just got to choose your currency and change everything over. You could run all of these numbers and then just convert it back into your own currency at the end as well. That's another way of doing it. If you need further convincing on why, have a look through here for the argument as to why you'd invest the time in doing an ROI tool in the first place. If you've got any questions, or if you actually want to go through this process with someone with the insight to give you a comparison in terms of how you're doing and answer that question of, do you need a warehouse system? Is the ROI going to stack up? Then please feel free to get in touch with us. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps you with your warehouse system journey. See you later. Bye.